What would you do without me? What would you do, boy? What would you do without me when I'm gone?
I'd sell my car and huck my ring and go right out and hire ba-bing. That's what I do without you, that's what I do. But tell me, what would you do without me? What would you do, boy? What would you do without me when I'm gone?
I'd have no trouble replacing you. I'd just go down to the nearest zoo. Oh, that's what I'd do without you, that's what I'd do.
Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis were not just an ordinary run-of-the-mill comedy team. For a few wild years, they were show business with a pulse, a tuxedo, and a panic attack. Dean was the smooth singer who looked like he'd never worried about anything. Jerry was the human firecracker who could turn one squeak into a full riot. Together, they packed nightclubs, conquered radio, became television favorites, and made Paramount piles of money. Then it all snapped. The partnership that once looked brotherly ended with resentment, silence, and one brutal line Jerry never forgot. Drop a comment below and tell us which half of the team you always preferred, Dean's cool charm or Jerry's chaos, because what Dean Martin said to Jerry Lewis before their split helps explain why America's hottest comedy duo went quiet for nearly 20 years. The Lightning.
Mr. Martin, is this your baby?
Yeah, that's my baby. What do you think of him?
What do I think of your baby? You won't get sore?
Of course I won't get sore. Hasn't he got my eye?
Yeah, and he's got your nose, your old one. Listen, Mr. Martin, what should I do with the baby? Like, do anything I have to do with the baby?
Just feed the baby, that's all.
Feed it? Where do you keep the peanuts?
The peanuts for what? The peanuts for what?
For your baby.
That's not my baby.
Somebody stole the baby!
Dean and Jerry first crossed paths in the 40s, when both were still trying to find the act that would change everything. Dean had the voice, the looks, and the nightclub polish. Jerry had the nerve, the rubber face, and a strange gift for making grown adults laugh at pure nonsense. Their real breakthrough came at Atlantic City's 500 Club in 1946. At first, the act was not working. The owner was not impressed, and their future was hanging by a thread. So they stopped playing safe. Dean sang while Jerry interrupted, dropped things, mocked the room, and tore apart the dignity of the performance. Instead of ruining the act, Jerry's disruptions gave Dean something to react to. That became the formula. Dean was calm because Jerry was frantic. Jerry was funny because Dean was unshaken. One man looked like a movie star, the other looked like a bellhop who had swallowed a horn. The Machine.
Motion pictures, vaudeville, carnivals and fairs.
Television circuses, we work with talking bears.
We played the Catskill Mountains, they loved our dishy corn.
We even got an offer to play the Matterhorn.
We played benefits and radio, medicine shows, USO, supermarkets, chicken markets, and we're confessing, we even played the opening of an Italian delicatessen.
By the early 1950s, Martin and Lewis were everywhere. They had a radio show, television appearances, nightclub crowds, hit films, and screaming fans who treated them like a comedy version of a rock band before rock really took over. Paramount knew what it had. The studio gave them film after film, pairing Dean's relaxed singing with Jerry's physical explosions. The movies were not always elegant, but they made money. The problem was built into the formula. Jerry's antics were louder, stranger, and easier for critics to talk about. Dean often had to stand nearby looking handsome while Jerry tore through the scenery. That imbalance started to sting. Dean was not just a straight man, he was a singer with comic instincts and real timing. But the more Jerry became the obvious center of attention, the more Dean seemed trapped inside his own partnership. The Fracture.
I just came for milk. Nice bull.
Is milk in a bowl? That's impossible.
But that's what I thought.
The pressure grew worse during their final stretch at Paramount. Their movies kept selling, but their friendship was wearing thin. By the time they were filming Hollywood or Bust in 1956, the old warmth had mostly curdled. Jerry later said the atmosphere became so ugly he would not tell Dean what he thought of him directly. Director Frank Tashlin ended up stuck in the middle, catching the frustration that the two stars could no longer handle face-to-face. Dean had his own bitterness. He felt reduced to the handsome prop beside the comic genius. That may sound dramatic, but in showbiz, billing and attention are never small things. Then came the line that still hangs over the breakup. According to Jerry, Dean told him, quote, "To me, you're nothing but a fucking dollar sign." It was harsh, personal, and impossible to dress up as ordinary workplace tension. The Goodbye.
Danny, you gotta help me. This little monster I'm working with is driving me crazy. We work in nightclubs. I see him 7 nights a week. We make a picture. I see him every day. Between radio and television, pictures and nightclubs, he's got me crazy. I don't know what to do.
But Dean, he's your partner. You're working with him. You have to see him.
But I see him when I'm not working, Danny.
You mean you keep imagining you see Jerry?
I don't imagine, Danny. I don't imagine. I see him. We took a cab this morning. The cab driver was Jerry Lewis.
Their split did not happen in a tiny room with nobody watching. It happened while America was still watching very closely. The act officially ended in 1956, exactly 10 years after their first major teaming. They still had obligations to finish. That meant walking on stage together even after the friendship had collapsed. Their farewell engagement at the Copacabana turned into a show business funeral with jokes still attached. The final performance had a strange ache to it. Audiences came to laugh, but many also knew they were seeing the end of something huge. Martin and Lewis were not just closing an act, they were closing a decade. Afterward, both men built major solo careers. Dean became a recording star, movie actor, Rat Pack fixture, and television host. Jerry became a solo film force, a director, and one of Paramount's biggest names. They proved they could survive apart, which may have made the silence easier to maintain. The silence. This version says they didn't speak privately for 20 years. That's mostly the point, though there were tiny cracks in the wall. Dean made a brief surprise appearance on The Eddie Fisher Show in 1958, and they shared a short stage moment in Las Vegas in 1960. But those were not real repairs. Jerry broke the tension with the perfect question. So you working? It was silly, quick, and loaded with 20 years of pain that neither man wanted to unpack on live television. After that, the ice finally melted. They spoke again, and later reunions carried a gentler feeling. The old wound never vanished completely, but the anger did not get the last word. For two men who built an empire on timing, the reunion came late, but at least it came. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Dean's $ comment was the real breaking point? Or was it just the loudest symptom of a partnership that had already run out of the road? Let us know in the comments section below.